Season 2 of the Pat and JT podcast.
Oh man, I'm here at last. The best time, always gonna be the best. Come on!
Exclusively on the Hurrdat Media Network.
That was close. Almost didn't mute that sneeze. Note to self, Lysol the little muffer on your microphone.
Absolutely. I do every day. I promise. I do every day.
So it is the 29th of November
Crazy.
as we record this. And a quick little check. Ghislaine Maxwell is still alive or not alive?
Yeah, that's it. Actually, I'm sitting here with all my notes in front of me because I'm kind of following this because it seems like nobody in the media is. There are, and we talked about this before, there are a couple of accounts that are following it really closely on Twitter. But you're not hearing a lot about it in the news. You know, I mean, they just went through the whole deal of jury selection.
Right.
Right. And that was a long process that they went through in the jury selection. And there was like not a peep about it.
This is huge.
It really is.
Epic, humongous trial for a lot of reasons.
A lot. And so just to kind of refresh, and yes, you're right. I think it's going to be an amazing trial to keep track of, just to kind of see what does come out. I don't think it's going to be this like, oh my God, finally, and they're going to release all the names, and it's going to be all this other stuff. I don't think it's going to be that kind of an explosive trial. I'm just excited she's still alive.
Right, me too.
That she's there for it.
So we can figure something out. Yeah.
Something's going to happen. But just to kind of go back over it, and I pulled up some things from like Epstein stuff. You know, you should see my files. I mean, it looks like the crazy professor.
Well, I don't know what that now all of a sudden it does. I doubt it. I think it's probably always looked that way.
Maybe I just for the first time got a good look at it.
Yeah.
But when you look back at Epstein's life in general, and I know we've kind of talked about this stuff before, but born and raised in New York City, he was in Brooklyn, and his parents, you know, were just regular people, right? I mean, but he went to high school. He ended up teaching at a high school, Dalton School in Manhattan, despite lacking a college degree.
Oh, okay.
He didn't have a college degree when he got that. He had gone to his school. He actually graduated high school when he was 16. He'd skipped 2 years, and he did go to a couple colleges. And one was actually like, and we know he's good with money and good with numbers as he became a financier, right? Mm-hmm. He did go to kind of like a math college, not MIT, even though he heavily invested in MIT. No reason, I don't know why. But he didn't graduate. And then he got this job. Interesting part too about when he got this job, Bill Barr, who was the former Attorney General, right, for Trump and for Bush. Mm-hmm. His dad had been the head of that school, Dalton School. He left in the spring of 91. I can't remember for sure the year, but anyway, and then that fall was when Epstein started teaching there. Oddly.
That's weird.
Isn't that weird? Just the connections when you start seeing the connections and you keep seeing the same names in places. And, you know, there's something to that whole story of it's the same families over and over. And you go back in history, even one country would take over another country because one country would marry off their daughter of the king.
Yeah.
And then the other country would take over that country because they were in bad. So that was kind of like, here, we'll give you my daughter as your bride, and here's the dowry as my country. Mm-hmm. And so they take over a country. So you keep having the same names pop up. And like, I think that even back in World War I, the leader of Russia and one of the leaders of Germany were cousins. You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, it's like the same names keep popping up everywhere. So when you see something like that, you're just like, oh my God.
It's weird.
As George Carlin said, what was it? It's a big old club and we're not in it.
Yeah. Well, and you wonder if somebody, not necessarily in this situation, but situations like that, if people are actually in cahoots to continue that or make that happen, or if it's just like all doctors hang out together. So of course doctors are going to be intermingled. All politicians hang out together. So it's this. So is that the reason, or is it just like they're really like this master plan to try to have a couple of families take everything over?
Sure. Okay. This total sidebar.
There we go.
Yeah. There's a book out called San Francisco. If you get a chance to look it up, it's really good. And it's written by a guy who's lived all over the world, and he talks about his take on, he's worked in homeless shelters, he's worked just with the mentally challenged, he's worked with people who are basically on the streets and trying to help clean up situations. He's got some really interesting takes on and he lives in San Francisco, which he calls San Francisco by accident all the time, which is really funny. But anyway,
kind of appropriate,
right? But he in his book has spawned kind of like a little cult following of people. And I happened to hear a podcast of one, and he lives in Missoula, Montana, of all places, and he has discovered that there's a kind of like a hodgepodge of control as far as the leader that's on the school board in this town is a cousin to the person who's the mayor of this city, and the Missoula, Montana, and it's like all in this area of Missoula of all places, which is just weird. And this guy's from like Spokane, I think, originally. But he said it's really interesting, some of the people's names that pop up there, but they're all related. And so you've got this like the mayor of the town is related to the person that leads the school board, that's related to the sheriff, that's related, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And in a lot of small towns, it's that way sometimes. And you'll see the person who owns the bank, their brother has the car dealership, and their sister is the accountant. And you know what I mean? It's like, it just kind of happens that way.
Yeah, because like you hang out, like say you own the bank, well, your parents or whoever, you probably hang around a lot of business owners, so you're going to, of course, know the person and maybe invest in the car dealership, and then you have so much power that maybe you run from being mayor.
It could be. You know, it's just interesting how that power is centralized to a few families, right? And that pops up again in Jeffrey Epstein's story, because he stayed at that school for 2 years. He got let go because of what? Oh, inappropriate actions with the students.
That's weird.
Well, there's the first red flag. Maybe not even the first, but there's a big one.
Yeah.
So he gets let go. He immediately gets hired by Bear Stearns and gets brought in at the ground level to learn how to be a financier. And he climbed the ladder really quickly. But he had a lot of heavy hitters that were helpful to him. He met Ghislaine Maxwell, I believe it was in 91. So there's that hodgepodge like of the 80s and into the 90s where she comes into his life, and her dad died in 91. He was kind of like Rupert Murdoch. He owned a lot of communications industry, right? He was big in publishing in the UK, but he had connections with M16, which is I think UK's version of the Secret Intelligence Service, and with Mossad, which is the Israel version of that, and with KGB. There were rumors of these connections. So he was ridiculously wealthy, and then he ended up dying. And some people say he didn't kill himself, but he was found floating next to his yacht, face up. Which was weird.
Very weird.
Right. So that was another part of that story. But there's just so much stuff that's in here. And then eventually there's the whole trial that happened in 2007, 2008 with Jeffrey Epstein.
Yes. Where he was, he was convicted, right? And then sent to, was it like house arrest or something like that? And then it was then dismissed or whatever?
He got a sweetheart deal.
Yeah.
Let's just put it that way. I think actually there was something to it, and I don't know if I have that part in here. I legit have. I do have notes. I just brought them because I'm like,
notes,
it's easier.
You have they're highlighted.
They are.
Oh my gosh.
I'm following the stuff because I'm like, okay, part of the thing with Epstein is because it's believed he was connected somehow with her dad. Because a lot of people say she maybe didn't work for him. Maybe he worked for her because of her connections.
Okay.
Because there was that whole deal of when he got brought in, when they looked at all of his houses, they were all wired for sound. They had pin cameras in every room.
If you're a perv, I could see him doing that. Like, because you never know where it could happen. You want to have video of whatever pervert thing you're doing.
Right? Yeah. Or of anybody that's staying at your house.
Or, yes, total bribe material.
And she had said that in previous documents that was the reason why he did that, was he wanted to make sure he had something on these people. And so he would set it up to happen. So whether it was on the island, in New York, in Palm Beach, in Nevada, in London, they were all wired for sound, and they'd have these huge rooms that were just video rooms where there would be people literally sitting there watching videos, watching the cameras to make sure that they were recording whatever was. It is. I mean, if you wrote that story, you'd be like, okay, that's a little ridiculous.
Right.
Nobody's going to believe that. But it was that way. And they also believed that he was doing work for governments, not necessarily ours, helping them either settle debts, settle scores, recover money that had been taken from them. And there's a document where it actually does say, it was previously discussed, Epstein apparently they wanted to find out how he was given this sweetheart deal that was approved by a Maine justice in Washington, D.C., and they do believe it was because of the work that he did not only for the U.S. government but for other governments, that was where the pressure was put on.
Wow,
you can't put this guy away because he knows a lot.
Yeah.
And how he evaded getting Epsteined the first time, I really don't know.
Wow.
It's just
it'll take over your thinking. If you go too far deep into this stuff, it's to the point where it's like it'll get you not you. You can get obsessed. I'm not saying not you, but I'm not saying
right.
Obsessed with it because it's like it's the best drama ever written for television times 50.
Yeah.
And it's
it really
real life.
is. And it's real life.
And it's real life.
Like you expect Tom Cruise to be starring in it or Sean Connery should be in
Something.
this or you know what I mean? It's like this, it's that kind of
I wish it wasn't a stupid federal trial because I would watch every second of this.
100%. And that is why it's not on, but it is available if you want to listen to it.
Oh, really?
There's a phone number you can call.
What?
I kid you not. And there's a code for it so that people, because that's the only way, because reporters aren't allowed and no cameras are allowed.
What?
This is.
So you dial in and then you just listen.
Mm-hmm. You can.
Wow.
It's on Twitter. I saw it.
Oh,
I'm just saying it's on Twitter. It's on the internet.
Are you sure?
I'm going to call it today and see if it works.
Are you sure?
I'm going to call it and see if it works. I am.
You're going to be, not that you're not already on a list, but you're going to be on more lists.
Probably.
Oh my gosh. That would be amazing. If that's actually legit, let me know because I'll listen.
I will.
But I'm not jumping in that pool first. No.
You aren't going to click that link,
no
right? I know it.
Way.
I saw that out there and I was like, okay, is this a bait?
Like how can that? There's no way.
I don't know. There's a lot of things also to be said about the just the proceedings too, and you can't help it. You're going to have things that pop up, and you're going to go, "Oh, come on, this can't be real." One of the lead prosecutors is James Comey's daughter.
Oh, real? So that I get it. It seems weird.
It does. It's like of course.
But they're all smart, rich lawyers. So I get it. Maybe it's just like somehow it worked.
Right?
It's worked itself out. That's the case.
Yeah, and it's just. I mean, if there's no way these people are not attached somehow to someone else, right? When they're at that level,
you would think
you're going to be able to draw a line between people if that's what you're looking to do.
I think the only person that you could actually do that with that isn't attached to someone on that level is Donald Trump. Like I think that for politically speaking, I think he is not. Obviously, he's not in anybody's pocket. Nobody's in his pocket.
No.
So from that standpoint, he's not beholden to anyone.
It's odd because a lot of people are trying to they keep bringing that up. And I will say there's a good story that's out there, a well-written piece, and one of them was written by somebody who used to write for, of all things, Rolling Stone, but they did used to have really good writers. But he was part of the reason he helped build the case against Epstein in 2007, 2008.
Trump?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's why they do believe that they were trying to find stuff on him since then. Mm-hmm. I mean, to get him back since that time. And he was friends with him in the 90s. I think there's probably 6 or 10 pictures that you keep seeing circulated around of him and Epstein on the party scene in New York. Yeah. And that was in the 90s. But then he was barred from Mar-a-Lago in 2002 was when 2002 or 2006.
It was early 2000s. Yeah.
Somewhere around there, 2006. But I'm not real sure about that. But if there were a connection, it would have been out there already.
It would have been found.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So as for the black book stuff, I don't think you're going to see a lot of that. You might hear.
Why not? Like, that's what I don't understand. Like, why not? If it's a trial, she is on trial. The people that are in the black book aren't on trial. But just through the course of questioning and the course of trying to figure out what happened, some of these names have to come out.
They said
especially the bigger ones.
The reason why you probably won't see it is because this is primarily about 4 victims and their relationship with her and how she brought them into this.
So if those 4 victims didn't interact with anybody in that black book of note, then their names won't get brought up.
100%.
And I guess that makes sense.
That's the reason, because I was looking for the same thing. I was like, why won't we see this? And I'm looking through my papers, and then I see new reports coming out, and there's lawyers writing things up and saying, well, you have to remember the blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. You may hear Prince Andrew's name. That's a possibility. But the rest of it, and that's kind of an interesting one if you think about it, because of all of this, you keep seeing his name, right? Prince Andrew, right?
Yeah, Prince Andrew.
Yeah. Okay, so the thought comes then, If the Epstein-Maxwell pedophile club is willing to throw Prince Andrew under the bus, just imagine the names they're keeping a secret. He was low man on the totem pole.
Wow. Yeah. And did they really throw him under the bus, or was it the victim that came forward, the girl that was in that picture, that is really keeping the story going?
She's the one, and she's going to be a part of this.
Good.
And I can't remember her name right off the top. Vivian?
I can't remember her name either.
Something like it. But she's going to be a big part of this. She'll be part of it.
Good.
So that's why his name may possibly come up in this, but that's not really what they're going for. They're just trying to I think her attorneys are going to argue the only reason these victims are coming forward is because they're wanting to receive money, because they believe that she received a large sum of money when he died.
I could see that happening.
And I'm thinking, yeah,
Probably.
probably.
So no matter what happens with this trial, the civil trial is when a lot of stuff could potentially, if she gets sued civilly for money and damages, that's when it could come out.
This right now, she's got 8 charges against her, and it's kind of like two sides of the same coin on 3 of them. It's conspiracy to entice minors and the enticement of minors, conspiracy to transport minors, transportation of minors, conspiracy of sex trafficking. And then the last one are a couple of counts of perjury that were against her over the years, and that they're bringing that in because in one of her depositions, she reiterated a story that was proven to be untrue.
Wow. Okay.
So
it's going to be intense. If that phone number,
Yeah.
1-800 trial phone works, let me know, because I want to dial in. I want to tap in.
And you probably heard that she's tried to get bail so she could get out of jail.
Of course.
They tried 4 times. They offered almost $30 million. And the court said no because she's too big of a flight risk. Which, by the way,
not even flight risk. It's too dangerous for her.
She'll get hacked. I mean, you know that she's going to get. But the judge, her name is Allison Nathan. She is a former associate White House counsel for President Barack Obama. So that's another one of those things that they're going to bring in. But she's the one that also said, no, this woman is a flight risk.
100% a flight risk.
We're going to keep her in jail. And said that she's not been honest about her financial means in the first place. So if she's got $30 million to chuck up just for bail, she probably doesn't care if she loses it.
And it's probably not money even coming from her. I bet it's other people probably providing this money to get her out. Yeah.
It could be at that point because I think her funds have got to be frozen at this point. But it's crazy. Crazy. And when they found her, do you know how they found her? GPS on her phone. Doesn't that just seem weird?
Yeah, it seems pretty weird.
That's the official word. They found her because of GPS on her phone.
They were looking for her for a very long time. And at that point, no one in her life said, get a burner.
Number one.
I even know, just from watching Dateline, you know that even when your phone's turned off, you can still, something in your phone can still ping GPS systems. So
yeah,
phone goes in the ditch.
That led to her arrest July 2nd, 2020. So it's been a long time coming.
This is going to be interesting. I'm pumped.
Yeah, and then you know what else is starting?
What's up?
They're going through jury selection for Jussie Smollett.
Oh, I forgot about that.
That's been almost 3 years since that happened.
I forgot all about that.
Yeah. So Jussie Smollett is finally going through, and that starts today too. So
I haven't heard one word about that. Nothing.
Just in my nifty little timeline.
Your FYP.
Yeah, I was like, whoa, wait a minute, that's another one. And I don't even know where if you can even follow. I have no idea how to even follow that one. I have no idea. 0.
That's funny.
But I'll try. I'm going to give it my best shot and see if I can't keep following. Did hear today, big Twitter news, too, that Jack Dorsey is stepping down as CEO, and I have no idea why. Just saw that headline on Twitter, and I'm like, wait, what? So
it seems weird. The last, 18 months, 2 years, a lot of big name human beings have stepped down from their positions, like Bill Gates and now Jack Dorsey, and Amazon guy took himself off the board of directors, stepped down from that a couple years ago. I know that was probably to focus on space travel, but
no, there's a story that goes, oh my God, that's
and Michael Strahan from Good Morning America is going into space. He's going on whatever it's called, that ship. Yeah, like in 12 days, alive on GMA.
Like into space or just tickling the edge?
Whatever that Amazon dude does. I don't know. I can't remember the flying penis. That big one, whatever that one is.
When you just mentioned people stepping down, so just this past weekend, because this was just printed out this weekend, this came out, they said that Barclay Bank, the head of Barclay Bank, his name is Jess Staley, and he was real tight with Epstein. apparently has stepped down
Okay.
because of some email correspondence that has emerged between him and Epstein. They found over 1,200 emails over a 4-year period with some unexplained terms such as Snow White is used frequently.
What does it even mean?
I don't know, but that just came out too. So he just stepped down too when you mentioned that, stepping down. Barclays Bank.
Tell you, it's going to get lit.
And he was former VP at JP Morgan, as a matter of fact, as well. And that was, I think, where his connection with him and visited Epstein when he was in prison in 2008. That's somebody I wouldn't go visit,
Epstein?
even if it's your brother.
No way. I would not want to be on that docket or whatever it's called, the record of visitors.
Right?
I wouldn't want to be on that.
Yeah. So interesting.
thanks.
There's just a lot. You heard that, right?
Yeah.
All the pages?
Those are literally, there's probably 25 pages.
I have a book.
Collated.
Oh my God. This is so crazy.
Oh, man.
So on a happy note we'll end on, besides my crazy stuff. How was Thanksgiving? All good?
It was good. Just a lot of
Did that game
food.
just break your heart?
No, you know what? No. I mean, it did. And whatever. It is what it is. I didn't. Over the last 10 years, but especially the last year, I didn't expect to win. Even when we were up by 2 touchdowns, I didn't expect to win. So it didn't really shock me.
Isn't
I know
that terrible?
People were super pissed about it, and I get it, disappointed.
Yeah.
But especially with all the coaching changes, I did not expect us to win that game.
I
against
couldn't
Iowa.
believe how they came out hot like that. Mm-hmm. They were on fire. And it was just like they shook up one thing, and everybody's like, "Oh my God!"
Yeah.
Matt Verzal, he had posted it at halftime. Nobody moved.
I saw that. I thought that was funny. Unfortunately, somebody did move.
Somebody took their socks off or something.
So, you're right.
Everything just. Well, the third quarter wasn't bad, but
it was just rough. It was just rough.
And then I did see the rumors too about Martinez leaving, and there were about 5 schools shortlist, probably ASU.
And I think he has to leave. Like he can't stay here and be Scott Frost's quarterback next year if Scott Frost is going to save his own career. He can't.
Right.
He just can't do it.
They
And
need
I
to
think
part ways.
And I think it would be better for Adrian to go.
I think so. What'd you say?
Unfortunately, Adrian Martinez to go.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it'd be better for him to go.
Yeah, that's.
Dude's been through the ringer.
I know.
Mentally, physically, he's just been through the ringer.
It's been a lot, and I'm sure it was like there he is on the sideline with his arm in a sling, and he's watching this kid play really well.
Yeah.
And we're ahead. It's like how many times we say that this season?
I wonder if at the end of the game when we lost, he's like, thank God.
Under his breath, maybe.
God. And even Scott Frost may be like, thank God.
Oh my God. If that had worked.
Oh, I know.
All the I told you so's would have come out of the closet.
I think the I told you so still did come out a little bit.
I think so too.
Oh man. I don't know.
But yeah, but it was a great weekend. It was beautiful.
Weather's fantastic. It's just yeah.
And we got another week of this.
It's missing,
so
and it was so windy on Thursday.
Oh my
Whatever
God.
day it was super windy, and it's a added bonus that all my leaves from my tree into Gene's yard.
That's where procrastination steps in.
Absolutely. So him and his wife were out there
Yes.
taking care of all those leaves, and it's like
You know what? And I came to a decision too this year. On other years I've tried it before, and now I'm firm in my convictions. I don't think fall cleanup is a good thing. I really don't, because I think the leaves on the ground protect plants, give little critters cover, and you're going to do spring cleanup anyway.
So I do double the cleanup.
Right.
So did you cancel your fall cleanup?
Hell yes.
Yeah.
I have leaves everywhere.
Right. That's called justification for saving money. And then in the spring, you're like, you know what? Screw the spring cleanup. They didn't have spring cleanup back with the Pilgrims. They didn't do cleanup.
I wonder who did that, right?
Yeah.
Now we'll see what happens. But anyway, that's
That
my
makes
take,
sense,
my
though.
hot take for
All
the
right,
day.
your hot take. Who needs fall cleanup? And that's the episode title for today. After
all this.
all that amazing stuff is who the hell needs fall cleanup? Thanks, guys.
Pat and JT Podcast, a Hurrdat Media Production.